I'm joined tonight by IDF spokesman Major Doron Spielman. Thank you so much for being here, sir. What do we know tonight as these hostages have been reunited with their families, but also taken to these hospitals and these medical centers? What do we know about their conditions right now?
Thank you for having me. The physical side of the hostages, thank God, seems to be pretty much in order. None of them have life-threatening ailments. That was identified at the initial medical check. Now, I think as you very covered it so well, they're going to be going through a mental roller coaster. Again, this is the side that we don't see. This is the side that's going to take time to unfold. They're reuniting with their families, and these are all people who do not know the extent of October 7th. What the entire world knows, these 13 people and the other 11 foreign nationals do not understand what has happened. The conflict, the more than 1,000 people that were killed, the relatives that were missing and killed, that they don't have homes to go back to. This is what these people have to go through, and it is going to be a process from a health perspective that's going to be unfolding. And as a nation, we're going to be embracing these people. And then we have to realize tomorrow and the next day and the next day, as God willing, this moves forward, we'll need to multiply this again and again. I think this is a challenge that few countries have had to deal with on this type of scale. And that's what we're trying to prepare for.
Well, given how long that process is going to take, what kind of services is Israel prepared to offer to these hostages? As not just in the short term, but dealing with the long-term trauma of what they've just been through?
These people will be taken care of in many ways for life. Israel, unfortunately, is not new to trauma. We've had rocket attacks from Hamas for 20, 30,000 rockets. We have many people who have gone through trauma and shock, maybe not to this degree. And Israel, unfortunately, knows this area very, very well. When it comes to this, we provide ongoing support, counseling, psychological support, financial support. And there is a community of families in this country that are survivors of terrorism that come and work with these families, and they almost join a community of people that gives them support. It is one of the strongest parts of Israel. It's this perseverance. And we embrace these people when these horrible things happen. Again, what we're hoping for, as this is, you mentioned, it's a bittersweet moment. I think those are the correct words. Here, we're going to be working day and night for years to come with these people. Really, the question is the people that we don't know about. We don't know, as the president said, if they're dead or alive. We don't know where those other 220 hostages are. And when this pause ends, we're going to go back to our operational goal of trying to defeat Hamas in order to put pressure on them to hopefully enable those people to come home as well.
Well, before this pause is over, if all expectations go as planned right now, there are still 37 more hostages, at least, maybe more nationals, as we saw several of these other nationals also being released that were also being held hostage today. Based on how the first round go, what is your assessment of how the next hostages that are expected to be released in just a matter of hours from now, tomorrow, how that's going to go? Any issues that you have seen on the horizon?
I think the biggest fear is that Hamas is going to break this framework, break this truce. We certainly are upholding it. The IDF are not firing. We're not in a defensive position. We're in a defensive position. Hamas has, insisted that we're not doing surveillance. So they're up to no good. Obviously, they're not, turning into a human rights organization overnight, and they're not going to probably mend their ways. And the biggest fear is that this truce will be broken by them, because we will protect any Israeli civilian. From an ongoing perspective, we will be evaluating the health, the physical and mental health of everybody that comes out of there. And also, it's important to note, trying to gather more and more intelligence. What is the fate of all those other people in Gaza, including the Americans and the other 20 countries that are represented? So that is what we're here for. It's somewhat spontaneous, and we're going to have to deal with the punches as they come. But we are positioned to do so. We have the professional staff, and we are experienced, and that is exactly what we'll try to do.
Obviously, these hostages are processing a lot, the ones that are back in Israel tonight. But have you learned anything from them about the condition of how those other hostages are being held, if they were indeed kept underground? Anything about what the last several weeks have been like for them?
It's going to be an ongoing process. We are, of course, going to be debriefing every single one of these hostages, but it has to be done so delicately because they were certainly kept in the dark. Otherwise, we would have seen them. Most of them with that Hamas video that you showed and correctly explained that it's a propaganda piece. We notice, Hamas only shows us when those people are coming out of the cars and they're carrying those elderly women and putting those arms around Ohad. Those same people drag them into Gaza, and we don't see that journey of those people. Those people were taken from the heart of Gaza, southern Gaza, most likely, underneath the ground, taken out from tunnels that go for miles and miles until they reached daylight, till their eyes adjusted, and then they were taken into the car. Only when Hamas found that last 30 seconds did they show that video. And so the trauma that these people have been through is probably something none of us can imagine. It's going to take time to unfold. And when we are able to assess this from an intelligence point of view and debrief them, we'll do so. And of course, we will act on that, and it will improve our success, hopefully, at bringing the rest of the hostages home.
Can you confirm what we're hearing, that Israel has indeed gotten that list of names that are expected to be part of the hostages released tomorrow?
I've been hearing the media reports just like yourself. I don't have the specifics. It would follow reason, similar to yesterday. And what happens is an ongoing process where certain families are ultimately notified. This is, as we can imagine, such a tense process because you have the families of 230 people, all of whom are waiting for their children, for their wives, for their mothers, for their grandmothers. And therefore, the process has to be done with enormous sensitivity to prepare the families whose relatives are hopefully coming home, and also prepare them that until they're in our hands, nothing is for sure. We do not trust Hamas. As the President of the United States said, Hamas doesn't give a damn about these people. And I quote him, and he's correct. Therefore, we prepare them until they're in their hands. We don't know, and we have to support the other families. Also, at the same time, their relatives are not on that list. This is a horrific situation. It harkens back to lists from World War II and the Holocaust, who's in and who isn't. But there's a ray of hope, which is that we're getting some of our people home.
Yeah, certainly a bittersweet moment for so many of these families. Major Doron Spielman, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
The other exchange that we saw happening today that was also part of this deal, 3